Most people think that being magnetic comes from how you look, how confident you seem, or how interesting your life is. But the truth is simpler than that. The most magnetic people in any room are not doing something special. They just make the person in front of them feel special. They are saying specific things at the right moment that create a feeling in the other person that is almost impossible to explain and even harder to forget. Today, I'm going to show you 6 of those phrases. They fall into 3 categories: building connection, creating tension, and getting respect. And when you master all of those 3 categories, that's when they will become truly obsessed with you. So let's get into it. Building connection. Phrase 1. Tell me more about that. Shift the spotlight on them. Let's start with the foundation, because once you get this, everything else clicks into place. The people who are best at conversations are never the ones who talk the most. They are the ones who make the other person do most of the talking. When you throw in the phrase, tell me more about that, you are completely shifting the spotlight off yourself and onto them. Most guys enter a conversation hoping to find a gap just so they can talk about themselves. But you are doing the exact opposite. You are treating whatever they just said as something worth being genuinely curious about. Because here's what nobody tells you. The best next thing to say is almost always already in what the other person just said. You do not need to come up with something new. You just need to pick up something they dropped and hand it back to them. Imagine you're talking to someone and they say, yeah, I finally started cooking more advanced meals. It was actually fun, even though I almost burned down the kitchen in the first 10 minutes. The average guy completely ignores the hook, just nods and says, oh cool, I love cooking too, and starts talking about his own favorite meals. But you are smarter than that. You lean directly into the crazy detail they just dropped. Look them in the eyes and say, wait, you almost burned down the kitchen. How did you manage to do that? What happened? You invite them to expand. This makes them feel seen, heard, interesting, and worth someone's real attention. And because your brain automatically attaches feelings to the person who created them, they will file you under. This person is amazing to talk to. So stop trying to be the interesting one and start making them the interesting one. Making the other person feel interesting is the absolute foundation, but if you want to really make them obsessed with you, you need more. Phrase 2. I noticed that about you. Give a genuine, tailor-made compliment. Most people think that giving a compliment is just about being nice, but if you are only complimenting people on the obvious things, like their looks or their outfit, you are barely making an impact. You are just saying what everyone else is saying. If you want to drop a compliment that actually goes straight under their skin and sticks in their mind for days, you need to use this exact 6-word phrase. I noticed that about you. But the secret isn't just the phrase itself, it's what you say right after it. Standard compliments aren't bad. Everyone likes to hear that they look good. But a tailor-made compliment hits entirely differently because it goes straight under the skin. You don't just praise the surface level that anyone can see. Instead, you focus on their character, their energy, or a unique habit that most people completely miss. Let's look at a concrete example. Imagine you're having a conversation with a girl and you notice that every time you see her, she's in a good mood. A standard guy might look at her and say, "You're really pretty." Again, it's a nice compliment, but it doesn't move much inside her because it feels generic. Now let's look at the charismatic way to do it. You look her in the eyes, smile relaxed and say, "You know what I find really fascinating? I noticed that about you. You have this incredibly warm, positive energy. No matter what kind of day it is, every single time I see you, you're radiating this genuine good mood. That's a rare quality. I really like that." Do you feel the difference? This moves the compliment from the shallow surface straight to their identity. It proves that you're not just on autopilot, but that you are paying deep, genuine attention to who they actually are. When you are the one who provides real, specific validation, they will naturally connect that warm, intense feeling directly with your presence. A tailor-made compliment opens the door to their emotional world, but if you want to pull them in even further, you need a specific technique to dive below the surface. Which brings us to phrase 3. Why is that? Go one layer deeper. Most conversations are completely boring and forgettable, and it has nothing to do with the topic. It's because most of the time we stay trapped on the surface level. If you want to turn a dry 5-minute chat into a deep, addictive conversation that feels like 20 minutes but actually lasted 4 hours, you need to start using this simple 3-word trigger question. Why is that? Every single answer someone gives you in a conversation has 2 different levels. There is the surface level, which consists of dry facts, information, and raw data. And then there is the deeper level, which holds the feeling, the story, and the human reason behind it. Most conversations never leave the surface, and that is exactly why most interactions are completely forgettable. Let's look at an example. Imagine someone says to you, "Yeah, I've been trying to learn how to play the guitar lately." the standard surface response is, "Oh, cool, I love music," or "What kind of guitar do you have?" This conversation stays on the surface and therefore forgettable. Now look at what happens when you go one layer deeper. They say, "Yeah, I've been trying to learn how to play the guitar lately." And you ask a calm, curious, "Oh wow, why is that? What made you suddenly want to pick up the guitar?" Suddenly, they aren't just giving you a dry fact anymore. You are inviting them to share a real story, a memory, or a passion. There is instantly something real to talk about. The formula is simple. Take the fact they give you and then ask about the feeling, the motivation, or the decision behind it. This forces them to turn off their autopilot and actually open up. People are starving for a conversation that actually means something. When you are the one who takes them there, you safely guide the conversation into deeper waters, which makes you instantly unforgettable. This is perfect for building deep safety and connection. But if you only stay in this comfortable space, the conversation will eventually become too heavy. Or worse, you'll slide right into the friend zone. To prevent that, you need to introduce a dose of emotional friction, and that starts with creating tension. Phrase 4. I knew there was a catch with you. Playful teasing. This is the hard truth every man has to accept. Being nice all the time is completely boring. If you are constantly nodding, smiling, and agreeing with absolutely everything the other person says, you aren't building a real bond. You are just becoming completely predictable. If you want to become truly magnetic, you have to break that polite, safe dynamic from time to time. One of the best ways to do this is with the phrase, "I knew there was a catch with you." It doesn't always have to be this exact wording. The phrase itself is just a vehicle. What actually matters is the psychological concept behind it. Playful teasing. The goal is to playfully drop a charming accusation or challenge that disrupts the predictable flow of a standard conversation. You're intentionally creating a small spark of emotional friction. Here's how this could look like. Imagine you're talking to a girl and she mentions, "Yeah, I actually love watching old cheesy black and white horror movies from the 60s. The standard polite guy would immediately go into pleasing mode. "Oh wow, that's so interesting and unique. I love that." That's nice and it's not wrong, but it has zero edge. Here's what you could say instead to bring a little spice into the conversation. "Wait, old 60s horror movies. Okay, I knew there was a catch with you. I thought you were completely normal up until this point." Do you see what happens here? You didn't insult them, you just playfully challenged their taste. This immediately triggers a fun, back and forth dynamic. They will laugh, playfully defend themselves, and say something like, "Hey, they're cultural classics, okay? You have to watch one with me and I bet you will change your mind." In that exact second, you've broken the ice and brought a little nice tension into the room. But be careful, do not overdo this. There is a fine line between a charismatic tease and being the annoying clown who puts everything into a joke. If you try to turn every single sentence into a punchline, you lose all your depth. You become the person people can't have a real, serious conversation with. You don't want to be exhausting to talk to. The secret is to use this like a spice. You just casually drop a little comment like this whenever a natural opportunity presents itself. Let it breathe and then move back into the normal flow of the conversation. Playful teasing is incredibly powerful to break the polite surface, get them to laugh, and create tension. But once you have that spark going, you need to back it up with raw value so they know you aren't just here to play games. You need a technique to flip the power dynamic, which brings us to getting respect. Phrase 5. Good start, but what else do you got? Reverse qualification. Stop treating social interactions like a job interview where you're the applicant. The second you talk to someone new and desperately try to sell yourself, show off your achievements, or prove how interesting you are, you instantly lose all respect. If you want people to actually value your presence, you have to stop selling yourself and start making them prove their value to you. A great phrase to completely flip this script is, "Good start, but what else do you got?" You don't have to use these exact words. What matters is the core psychological shift. Reverse qualification. Think about the standard social dynamic. Most people act like the applicant, desperately hoping to get approved, liked, or validated by the person in front of them. They bend their rules, agree with everything, and put the other person on a pedestal. This subconsciously communicates that you have less value than the other person. And especially in dating, this can instantly kill attraction. Real charisma isn't a reward for people-pleasing. It is the consequence of high standards. You need to stop being the applicant and become the auditor. Let's look at a concrete example. Imagine you're talking to a girl and she confidently tells you, "Yeah, I'm pretty used to guys staring at me or trying to hit on me." The average guy instantly gets insecure, agrees, and says something like, "Yeah, I can see why. You are so beautiful." Instead, you look her in the eyes, smile relaxed, and say, "Yeah, you definitely look good. But for me, looks are not the most important thing. There are plenty of beautiful girls out there. I actually care more about someone's energy, mindset, and who they truly are as a person. And just like that, you have completely shifted the entire power dynamic. You aren't being rude, you're simply acting like a person with genuinely high standards who doesn't hand out validation for free. Humans are wired to value things they actually have to work for. The absolute second the person across from you feels like they need to earn your real approval, you become the one person in the room they will not take for granted. Flipping the script like this makes you incredibly magnetic because it naturally forces them to qualify themselves to you. But people will never fully commit their respect or obsession to you if they suspect that your confidence is just a temporary act. The exact moment they test your boundaries, you need the ultimate tool to establish absolute status and authority. And that leads us to phrase 6. I see it differently. Stand your ground. There is a specific type of guy who always says yes, is always available, and changes his opinions the second someone disagrees with him. On paper, he is the perfect, nice guy. But in reality, nobody respects him, and women aren't attracted to him at all. If you want to instantly project absolute authority and massive high-status energy, you need to master this simple 4-word phrase. I see it differently. To build real charisma, you need a balance of warmth and backbone. If you agree with everything just to fit in, or change your stance the moment there is any friction, you are a flag in the wind. You have no personality. And people, especially women, always notice and test this, whether they consciously know it or not. They want to see if you hold your ground or if you fold. Let's look at how this works in real life. Imagine you're talking to a girl or a group of people and she states a strong opinion like, honestly, I think that new fancy matcha spot down the street is the absolute best place in town. Everything else sucks. The insecure guy panics because he thinks disagreement equals rejection, so he bends and says, yeah, true, I heard it's really good. I don't really like the other places as well. Now look at the high status way to handle it. You look at her with a calm, relaxed smirk. Stay completely comfortable in your own skin and say, I see it differently. Matcha tastes like expensive grass to me. But hey, if you ever want a real coffee, I know a spot. You didn't yell, you didn't get defensive, and you didn't start a huge argument. You just calmly stated your reality and added a bit of spice to it. This unshakable self-belief signals massive internal security. It proves that you respect yourself enough to protect your own boundaries and opinions. But careful, don't just disagree with them for the sake of it. If you just disagree with absolutely everything they say, it feels fake, childish, and incredibly annoying. The goal is not to start a fight. The goal is simply to state your own genuine opinion and stand behind it, even if it doesn't match theirs. Because that's exactly what turns you from someone that chases validation into the high status prize who gets chased. Congrats. You now have 6 phrases that combine the 3 categories of connection, tension, and respect, and that will make people become genuinely obsessed with you. But knowing these techniques and actually applying them in real life are 2 completely different things. Right now you might think, wow, this all sounds so logical and easy, but then tomorrow comes, you're back in your normal routine and nothing actually changes. And that is exactly why we created the 7-Day Charisma Challenge. Here's how it works. Over the next 7 days, you will get 1 email a day with a simple, practical charisma mission. They start very easy, and day by day, they get a little bit more challenging. Not so much that you become overwhelmed, but enough to make you grow and build momentum. And after the 7 days, you will show up completely different in social situations. If you want to take part in the challenge, click the link in the description.